I used to believe love was something that happened to people who were brave enough to chase it. I thought I was one of them. I thought walking away from a stable marriage for the man who made my heart race would lead me to happiness. But the truth is, I left my husband for the man I cheated with, and every day since then, I've wished I never did. My name is Evelyn Hale, and for most of my marriage, I thought I knew what I wanted. My husband, Caleb, was gentle, thoughtful, patient, almost to a fault. He loved quietly, the way someone loves a soft sweater they wear every winter. But somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that quiet love wasn't enough. That's when Lysander Quinn entered my life. He wasn't just charming, he was intoxicating. The kind of man who looked at you like he already knew your secrets, and liked you more because of them. He worked with me at the firm, always too confident, too articulate, too magnetic. At first, it was nothing more than lingering eye contact. A shared joke. A lunch where he sat a little too close. Then there were the nights when Caleb fell asleep early, exhausted from his night shifts, and Lysander stayed online with me, talking about dreams Caleb never asked me about. I told myself it was harmless, until it wasn't. The affair didn't feel like betrayal at first. It felt like escape. Like someone had lit a match in a room that had been dim for years. But one night, when Caleb found a message I forgot to delete, everything fell apart. He didn't shout. He didn't break anything. He just looked at me, with those soft hazel eyes that had once made me feel safe, and whispered, "Evelyn, why him?" I didn't have an answer. Not one that didn't break him again. Before we continue, if emotional stories like this resonate with you, please like the video so it can reach more people who need it. Caleb let me go without a fight. That should have been my first clue that he loved me more deeply than I ever realized. But I convinced myself that love wasn't supposed to be quiet, it was supposed to be thrilling. Wild. Consuming. So I moved in with Lysander. For the first week, I felt free. Desired. Alive. By the second week, I noticed the cracks. Lysander didn't wake up early to make me coffee the way Caleb did. He didn't ask if I'd eaten. He rarely listened unless the conversation was about him. But the worst part was how quickly his admiration turned into criticism. "You're too sensitive. You overthink everything. Caleb babied you too much." These words burrowed into me, twisting the excitement I once felt into something sharp and cold. One night, as I sat on the balcony staring at the empty street below, I realized I hadn't truly laughed since leaving Caleb. Not the belly-deep kind of laugh he used to pull out of me when I least expected it. And just like that, the truth began to bloom inside me, slow, painful, undeniable. I didn't leave Caleb for love. I left him for attention. Attention that was already fading. If you've ever made a choice you regret deeply, tell me. Comment your thoughts below. I'm curious how your heart made sense of it at the time. Days passed, and Lysander grew distant. He stopped texting me during the day. He stopped asking about my work. Sometimes he didn't come home until after midnight, smelling like perfume I didn't wear. I felt my heart hollowing out. One evening, while folding his shirts, the ones he never thanked me for washing, I found a note in the pocket of his trousers. A woman's name. A phone number. A lipstick kiss mark. I felt my whole world tilt. I wanted to confront him, to scream, to break something, but all I did was sit on the edge of the bed, staring at the note until tears blurred the ink. In that moment, one word echoed in my mind, over and over again. Mistake. If you're still reading this part of my story, backhand index pointing right, type the word mistake in the comments if you understand how one wrong step can change everything. And that night, lying beside a man who was already slipping away, I realized something devastating. I didn't just lose Caleb. I lost the version of myself who believed I deserved the kind of love he gave me. The morning after finding the note, I woke up before Lysander. I watched him sleeping, peacefully, carelessly, as if he hadn't carved a hollow into my chest. His arm rested over his eyes, his breathing slow, steady, and completely unaffected by the storm he had created inside me. It hit me then. This was the man I threw my marriage away for. A man who never made space for my feelings, my worries, my heart. I slipped out of bed and sat alone at the dining table. The apartment was quiet, but not the comforting kind of quiet Caleb gave me. This was the heavy, suffocating kind that reminded you of every wrong turn you took to get here. I picked up my phone, stared at Caleb's name in my contacts, and felt a sharp ache in my throat. Should I call him? Should I apologize? Should I tell him I finally understood what he had given me? My fingers hovered over the screen. Then dropped. I didn't deserve his forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Still, the memories of his kindness flooded my mind with painful clarity, the way he always noticed when I was cold and quietly draped a blanket over me, the way he stayed up on nights I cried for reasons I couldn't explain, the way he loved without demanding anything in return. It was the kind of love people spend a lifetime searching for, and I abandoned it. Before reading further, if this part of the story is touching something heavy in your heart, share the video. Someone out there might need the reminder that real love is quiet, steady, and rare. When Lysander finally woke up, he barely glanced at me. He poured himself coffee, didn't offer me any, and started getting ready for work. I followed him to the doorway. Lysander, we need to talk. He sighed as if the weight of my voice was too much for him. What now, Evelyn? I held up the note. This? He stared at it for a moment, then shrugged. It's not what you think. Really? Then tell me what it is. Someone at work gave it to me. I didn't ask for it. Then why was it in your pocket? Another shrug. I forgot it was there. Are you done? His coldness hit harder than any confession could have. Because in that instant, I realized the truth, even if he wasn't cheating, he didn't care enough for it to matter. And that hurt more than betrayal. That night, I packed a small bag. Not everything, just enough to leave with dignity. Lysander didn't even notice until I stood by the door. What's this? He asked, annoyed. I'm going, I whispered. He scoffed. And where exactly will you run back to? My voice cracked. Someplace where I'm not a burden. He rolled his eyes. You always were dramatic. And that was the last thing he said before walking away. As I stepped outside, the night air felt sharp, almost cleansing. But the loneliness settled quickly, heavier than my bag, heavier than my guilt. I walked aimlessly, tears slipping down my cheeks faster than I could wipe them. Eventually, my feet led me to a small park. I sat on a bench beneath an old ash tree, the same kind Caleb loved because he said they reminded him of strength hidden beneath fragility. I don't know how long I cried. Long enough for regret to settle deep inside me. Long enough to accept that I'd broken not just my marriage, but myself. If you've ever felt trapped between who you were and who you became, comment below and tell me what part of yourself you're still fighting to rebuild. The next morning, I went back to the apartment only to gather the rest of my things. Lysander didn't try to stop me. He didn't ask why. He didn't even look at me. It was Caleb who reached out first. He sent a simple message. Evelyn. I hope you're safe. Not, where are you? Not, why did you do this to me? Just concern. Just kindness. Just the love I had taken for granted. I stared at his message for a long time before replying. I'm sorry. His response came minutes later. I know. But forgiveness takes longer. And I don't expect him to wait for me. Today, I'm trying to rebuild my life piece by piece. Not for Lysander. Not for Caleb. But for the version of me who learned the hardest way that passion without compassion is nothing more than a spark burning everything in its path. And if you're still here, still reading, still feeling this story in your chest, please like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more stories that dive into the real, raw choices we make and the truths they leave behind. Because sometimes the hardest stories to tell are the ones that teach us who we should have been all along.